fiveanddimeeaston.com. They have their website officially up. You can shop most of their stuff online. They also have Fucked. They have Fucked in the store. I think they're the only one allowed to sell Fucked out of their store. It's 484-544-4719. That's at Five and Dime Easton on social media. These guys are great. I mean, they're killing it. It's the best skate shop, in my opinion, in the area. They have a lot of cool stuff there. Both the owners are rad. I stop in when I can. They're open Monday through Friday, 11 to 7, Saturday, 10 to 7, and Sunday, 11 to 5. There is someone always there to help you out with your needs. You can check their inventory off the website. You can check out some videos they got on there, and they're doing some cool things. Their social media is awesome. They support a lot of local skaters in the area, and they're growing. I'm excited to be a part of them growing. I'm excited to help them out. They're helping me out. It's a good relationship, and I push Five and Dime Easton because they're the best skate shop in the area. Check them out. BTG Blasting. My man, Pat Cunningham, offering you pressure washing, disinfecting, acid washing, and rust removal. It is a high pressure washing business, bringing your stuff back to glory. He does anything from houses all the way to having him come into the studio. He comes down to the studio on a schedule and he disinfects the studio, and we are certifiably clean, and it just covers all the bases. So with the things that are going on now, you're going to need somebody like this. He's got a sticker out front. I am certifiably clean down here. He also offers free estimates on all your needs. He can do corporate and at home. You can reach him at 484-241-1711 and btgblasting@gmail.com. He just started this business and it is taking off. I'm super excited for him, and I'm super excited that he's a sponsor of the show. And you can check out BTG Blasting on social media for all of your pressure washing, disinfecting, acid wash, and rust removal needs. It's high pressure washing, bringing your stuff back to glory. He offers many things, and you need to check him out. Eric K Dowdle, defense attorney. We had him on the show, and what crazy stories this guy's had. He's helped a ton of people over the years, and if you're looking for help, he is your guy. You can contact them at 610-882-3000, and it's ekdefense.com. Do you have a pending court case? Do you have a court appearance and need a defense lawyer? Do you need proper representation? Felony, misdemeanor, drug offense, assault, homicide, DUI, traffic violation, appeals. Reach out to Eric. Check out the podcast we did with him as well. It has his whole story on there. If you need help, Eric is here to help you. He sponsors the show. We appreciate it. He's going to be doing a monthly thing with us. Eric will be a part of the family now. Thank you for sponsoring.
A little slow. Nope, it's okay. Okay,
good?
Yep, it was a little slow.
Welcome back to Never Again Radio. Both of you are here. One of you is newly on camera.
There you go.
Audio. Oh, he didn't put the camera on her.
I did. It was on her in the beginning.
Oh, there you are.
I wanted to bring you back on. We did a show, I don't know, about a month ago.
Yes.
And it was fantastic. I loved it, and I thought there was enough content to bring it back.
Cool.
Every month, and just kind of shoot the shit in the morning and get into law and coffee. And I guess we kind of were coming up with a premise of you just kind of get into some crazier stories, because there was some fun stuff from the last show. So this is kind of going to be just like a loose format, kind of how we do Off the Rails, but we're having coffee instead of whiskey.
Alcohol.
Well, there you go.
Which is bullshit. But
I mean, whatever. We could do this in a later evening thing as well.
Nah, I turned into a pumpkin at night, man.
What time are you? You're an early bird.
Oh my God! Yeah, I've been up since 3.
Oh my God!
Yeah, why?
Well, I don't sleep.
Is that just how it's always been?
Yeah, kind of. I just don't sleep in the morning.
What time do you go to bed? Like 7, 8?
I wish. No, I go to bed probably around, last night was like 9:30.
Yeah.
Yep. My buddy Joe, who owns Joe's Garage, says he figures that when he dies, he's actually going to be about 164 because he works like 16-hour days, which is twice what most people work.
Yeah.
So he gets 2 days in one.
Yeah, I have to sleep.
It was funny that you bring him up because I ran into Jason Calandra. I was getting ice. And he's like, how do you know that guy?
Yeah, he asked me the same thing. He was like, how do you know that guy that's on there?
Yeah, he's like he's friends with my dad.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. That's what I said too.
Yeah, Joe and I go back.
How did you meet Joe?
Good question. I don't even remember how I met him, for real. But he's a car guy. We got to talking about it, and we just clicked. And early on in our friendship, my mom passed away, and I didn't have enough people to help me carry the casket. And I reached out to Joe and another guy that works there named Tater, and they offered to help me. And I will never forget that.
Yeah.
Never.
He's a good dude.
Beyond good.
Yeah.
They don't come any better.
I'm sure you've seen it, but I went down there with my dad. I think we were dropping something off or picking it up, and he was just excited to see my dad. And he's like, "Do you want to come see my cars?" And brought us in the back. He's got some rad stuff over there.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. He's amazing. If you ever get a chance to sit down and talk with him, he's an amazing guy. Knows Mario Andretti and all those guys.
We should have him on. I didn't even think of doing that.
You should have him on.
Do you think he'd do it?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
We did his daughter when it was just audio. Mary came on and did
she's
like a
good
yoga.
people, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's really cool.
She is really cool. She's apparently she's doing teaching yoga in Philly right now.
Yeah. How did you get into cars?
Oh, it's in the DNA, I think. My grandfather was he was a mechanic, had his own gas station and stuff like that, and was a biker and the whole 9 yards.
Yes.
And, well, yeah, back.
I always love biker stories.
Well, during World War II, he was too young for World War I and too old for World War II, and he needed a job, so he ended up working at the steel as a welder. And the family didn't have the money. They lived in Emmaus. They didn't have the money to buy a car, so he had a Harley with a sidecar. That's what he had, and that was every day. That was not just when it was nice out. So snow, sleet, rain, like the mailman, right? So he worked during the war. He worked 364 days a year for 50 cents an hour, doing swing shift work. And he was small. He had rickets when he was a baby, and he was small, so they had him welding inside the boilers. When they would have to shut them down for maintenance, but they couldn't shut them off. They would turn them down.
Yeah, so they're still
hot.
Yeah.
Right? He said they were so hot it would melt.
What the fuck?
Yeah, no, I heard stories about that. They would just shove them down. Like people would go in there and like whatever they could put him in, any kind of moon suits or any protective thing, but it doesn't matter.
He said it was so hot it melted the hair off his face.
Yeah.
And they used to give him shoes that were made of wood, because eventually certain kinds of wood, I think like Doug fir or hem fir or something like that, it'll seal itself off. It only burns so much and then it seals itself off. So they would put them in these wooden shoes to take up the heat from the floor of the boilers, right? But they had him welding inside those things. So he
Oh my God.
right?
See, but that's when men were men.
Yeah.
That's not like
Sounds
now.
like the summer I worked at Kramer's Textiles.
No.
But he was like 5. I want to say like 5'1" or 5'2", but he had hands like frying pans, and he was the toughest guy I've ever met in my life. He one time when he was in his 70s, I think, and we were driving somewhere. Somebody cut him off in traffic. He parked his truck in the middle of the street, went running down the street after the guy, 70-some years old, and he was going to whoop ass. They had a bar up in the Poconos when my grandmother was living, and they had a place up there, and some guy was giving my grandmother a hard time, and my grandfather, like I said, 5'1". There was a dude up there who was like 6'2". My grandfather hit him so hard it knocked him off the porch, just one shot.
Yeah.
But
they were different. I'm telling you, different people.
Different people, man, bro.
Different people. I'm learning more and more about my great grandfather through like pictures. Somebody said, "Oh, you look like." I don't look like him. I don't know where they got that from, but more and more I find out that he was just a fucking problem.
Yeah.
Like he was a fucking problem.
Yeah.
I knew he was a bootlegger. I knew that for real.
I got a story about that too.
Yeah, and I knew about all that stuff. And then it's just like more and more you hear about him. It's like, when my grandmother just passed, but when she was there, she would go, "Oh yeah, my father would just like." I went to school the one day, and this guy came out and just goes, "Oh, you dumb Catholic girl, stay out of here." And she went home and she said, "This guy called me a dumb Catholic girl." And she said he just walked out the door, didn't say a word. And she goes, "All I know is the next time we saw him, he had bruises all over. He would just jack people up and fuck them up all the time." And I'm like, dude, and every picture, I'll show you a picture of him, and you'll laugh. Because you look at him, you're like, yeah, I could see he'd want to fight somebody. He looks like a problem.
Yeah. Well, my grandfather he was one of 10 kids. And they used to go to, he said when they were younger, they would go out to the bars on Saturday nights just to pick fights, he and his brothers. That's how they had a good time, right?
Yeah. See, that's him, the one sitting down.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah,
it's the sneer.
Yeah, he's a little fucker. He just wants to
he wants to fight. Yeah. But and he used to say, yeah, we'd run from the cops. We'd put our hats over the taillight of the motorcycle and we'd run from the cops.
Yeah.
But getting back to the cars and stuff like that, so that's where it started, and then the defining moment, right, was a buddy of mine. His sister had a 5-liter Mustang convertible, and we got it one night, and so we're out in front of the house. And he said, "Watch this," and my dad's watching us leave, right. And dude lights up the car, and it's just going back and forth on the rear, smoking the tires, and it's like a circuit opened.
Yeah. And that's usually there's always something about cars and car people or motorcycle people that there's a defining moment when you were a child or something you saw and you were like I like cars and stuff. Like I can do very basic shit. I enjoy the engineering of it, the machinery of it. It's just the rawness of some of the stuff. But I still remember this day when I was a kid, the first time I saw fucking Bigfoot. And I was like, I never saw him live. I saw him on TV and I was like, what is that? And I'm looking, and ever since then, they were like, "You want to see it crush cars?" I'm like, "No, I want to see the truck. I want to see it, yeah. I want to see like how tall. I want to see like how it's support. I want to see all that." That was my defining moment. I was like, "I'm in the cars."
And the thing is, whether it's cars, I don't really care for boats. Don't really care for airplanes. I appreciate the work that goes into it, right?
Yeah.
But motorcycles,
sure.
The look of a motor, just everything about it. And I appreciate the sport bikes, and Stacey's going to be upset if I go too far with this, but I appreciate the sport bikes. But there's something about the look, the classic look of a Harley.
And it's the feel. Even like I got on my buddy's sport bike and I feel like I'm on a fucking toy. It doesn't feel the same as if when I'm on a Harley or any other thing. I actually feel like I'm on a machine.
Right, but now tell me this. Now, I don't know whether you guys want to weigh in on this. When you walk into not even walk into a car dealership, when somebody gets a new car, I don't want to drive it. All I want to do is open the door and smell it.
Yeah.
I just need that first whiff of the brand new car smell, which is all the shit off gassing in it, right?
Yeah.
It's all the chemicals.
Yeah, it's all the fabric off gassing.
It's all bad shit, right? But that first whiff, man, it's like...
Yeah, but I'm mesmerized. Like I would go. You go to like car shows and you look at the engines, and I was like, I don't know what half this shit, like how this even works.
But I love it.
Yeah, I just love it. And then you start to pick up more and more, and you're like, oh, I see what you did there. And then all of a sudden, it's like I don't know what's happening. Like the Japanese cars, and they're doing all this crazy. I don't know none of that shit. I like American muscle cars.
Yeah, me too.
I don't care. Like, oh, well, my Honda has this fucking twin turbo. I don't care how fucking fast it is. I would rather
obviously not a fan of the Fast and Furious franchise.
Now stop it.
Stop it. Listen,
best franchise ever created.
I am not, but what's the coolest car in the whole fucking movie?
The Charger.
There you go.
No way.
You talking about the car
that he builds for Brian, and then he blows away the Ferrari.
The Supra.
That's the coolest fucking car.
Yeah,
No.
Or Frankie Muniz's Volkswagen.
No, it's
Volkswagen. It's the most. The thing is, the thing about the American muscle cars, the Harleys, and everything else, they may not be the fastest.
Nope.
They may not be the best in terms of fixing them and performance and everything else, but they've got a soul.
Yes, and you can feel. So I'm not into all the Teslas and stuff. Like, yeah, I get it. They're quick. You hit the button. It's not real. It's not real. I'm still pissed. I get in my car, okay, and I'll rev the engine and I'll start going, and I was like, yeah, this thing's got fucking ball. Like, it sounds good.
Well, because you're the Lincoln Bale guy.
But then I looked at it, and half of it's fake.
Half of it's fake.
So just like BMW, Lincoln has also added in. They have speakers
that plays the music.
I don't like that at all.
That's so lame, bro.
I don't like that
because I was like, so my engine doesn't have this beautiful purr to it.
No,
it's a fucking program,
bro. There's nothing better than going through an underpass or a tunnel.
Oh, just
open the windows and cracking the throttle. Oh my god!
My wife always goes, "Why do they do that?" I go, "Because it's awesome."
It's awesome.
What was the little car you had?
Dowdle.
Oh, yeah. Owen loves them, by the way. Owen loves them.
It was a great
You had
car.
that thing hooked up, though, didn't you? I don't know if I ever
They go because they don't weigh anything.
Yeah.
That's why.
Great.
Everything you put in them is only speed. That's the only way.
Did an engine swap, lowered it.
It was a cool car.
It was fun. Till it got stolen.
Yeah, that shit happened. Somebody liked it more than you did, yeah.
What a good way to put something getting stolen. I always liked. I like all cars. I like the muscle cars you guys are talking about. But then I also like the foreign stuff and faster stuff.
Yep.
I don't know. I just always liked a little bit of everything because I love like the old rat rods. Even,
Yeah.
The older hot rod stuff.
Yeah, they're just enormously.
Yeah.
You look and you're like, you didn't need to put a blower that high on it. Yes, you did.
Well, nobody needs to. It's not
Yeah.
the point. You have to.
Yes, you did.
You have to do it.
And I rode in a couple Teslas. I like them for what they are.
Oh, they're
as
cool.
well, yeah.
No, they're all
It's a
cool.
cool thing. I just don't. It doesn't feel real.
No.
I want to feel, and that's why I was pissed when I saw Harley. It was like, well, we have electric bikes now.
Yeah,
I'm
but
like,
it's not really going anywhere, is
Do you
it?
think it's going to all eventually go to
not me.
that style?
No, because I'll tell you
No,
what.
I'm saying, like-
no.
I'm
I'm
gonna tell
saying
you
like
what.
after we're all past, do you think that's going to be
No.
like a thing where
I don't. There's always going to be. Well, like you said, when your grandfather or whatever back then, when you're coming back, whenever he was coming back from the war, all people wanted to do was buy a fucking Harley or buy a Sport, because that's what they wear at the war, and they
Yep,
had them over
yep,
there,
yep.
and that's what they did, and that's why a lot of mechanics started back then, because there were so many people coming back,
That had mechanical experience. Yep, absolutely.
and they were like, well, I can do this. I've been fixing shit in the middle of fields.
And I've been
because people
shot at
shoot
while I'm doing
me.
it.
So I know how to fucking fix stuff. So that's why that started, and I think there's always going to be a group of purists that are just going to go, this fucking battery does not make you feel, and doesn't make
Doesn't have a
girls
soul, bro.
doesn't make
No
girls go,
soul.
oh, like they do with a fucking real car.
That's a fact.
And a burnout.
Smoky burnouts.
And
Smoky
a burnout.
burnouts and
Yes.
wheelies.
Wheelies.
That's right.
That's where it's at.
The only one that's close is Australia. It's pretty good. They do a lot of burnouts now.
Smoky burnouts.
Do you like Australian cars? Wasn't the one from Mad Max? That was an Australian
That's
car.
a Ford, bro.
Was it a Ford?
Yeah.
So
It's Australian. It's an Australian
No.
model of it, but it's a
so
Ford.
What was it,
Australia.
the Interceptor?
Yeah. You got a V8 Interceptor there, mate.
Yeah. When I was 16, I was looking for those used on eBay, trying to talk my dad into it being
to
a
have
good
one.
idea for my first car. He's
Dude,
like,
I think they're-
He's like, they're cool. He goes, where are we getting this? I'm like, well, Australia.
Well, I think the real car. I think the real car maybe is outside of Philadelphia. I think somebody sent
Somebody
me
bought it, maybe?
Yeah, somebody bought it, or that one like it and restored it to that.
There's like a culture that like gets those and remods them and does like cool Mad Max
But when you
stuff.
see that in that movie, the Road Warrior, right?
Yeah.
When you see that big honking supercharger sticking out of the hood with the idler, the gear is there, and then he flips the switch.
Yeah.
And you see the gear, and you hear, oh
Well, even
my
even the cop
God.
cars in the first one are badass. There was always cool cars in that. I mean, the newer stuff kind of went more towards the comic, but that was one of my favorite cars in a movie
Yep,
of all
you're
time.
right. It's it's amazing.
Yeah, that was. They's got the dog on the passenger seat.
Yeah.
Another fucking rad movie.
No, they no. The
Incredible.
Australians are doing summer nats now. It's like the biggest world,
Is it like a
biggest
festival?
Yeah, for burnouts. And
Really?
all their cars are all mechanical. There's no more electronic. Everything's still mechanical, and they run methanol. So when you're done, the actual hat of the blower is ice cold.
Wow.
That's why they can just sit there and just beat the shit out of it, and it's not getting hot.
Yeah, but guess what? You know, when we look at that, and then I got introduced to the whole turbo and supercharger thing. I'm not talking about a Roots type blower, which is the one we were
Yep.
talking about now, but more of a centrifugal blower. And the 5-liter Mustangs. You put one of those blower cars as huge and all the smoke and fire,
Yep.
and everything, and you put it up against a modern vehicle, bro. It's not what a Subaru is off the line.
No,
okay,
no.
And you see these Mustangs that have twin turbos and things. They're pushing power like it's out of control, and it's quiet, right?
Yes.
This guy knew he had a 3,000 horsepower Mustang, and they could only measure it by the fuel consumption on a computer model because it would peg every dyno it went on.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah. The way it's
Do you like Subarus?
Easy, she's here. She carries a gun.
Dude, we were in a
do
Subaru
I. No.
gang. I had a
Subaru
small,
gang.
I had
We
a
were
small-
the Tubaroo.
The
Subarus,
Tubarus. The
yeah.
Tubarus.
Yes, we
listen.
were.
had,
I like that the things they've created. I like the 4-wheel drive they've done. I don't like them though.
But they've got
Because
great
I
sound.
don't like the way they feel. It's just a weird thing. I don't like the way they feel. Like I like Volkswagens. I like the way Volkswagens feel, and some people don't like that. They feel
Yeah.
clunky or they feel blocky. Like I like that kind of thing. And
like-
on my car
I like
now,
the way,
oh my car, I love my fucking car.
I had
Thank you.
the Impreza. I got off of Kyle Cummings, which was my first car that I had for like 11 years.
Yeah, I
I think I
remember it.
traded it in. It had 3 cylinders.
A good 3
Yeah,
cylinders.
a buddy of mine worked at the car dealership, and he almost lost his job because he's like, "Yeah, it's fine." And then they came
fine.
back and we're like, "Yo, like we lost money because like we basically had to send it to the junkyard."
Yeah,
but that thing ran forever.
And it had a sunroof.
Yeah,
And it had a sunroof.
it was awesome. But I mean, that thing, I've driven a bazillion different cars. Because all-wheel drive's like standard at this point.
And it works
But
so well.
they do.
That Subaru is
So
the
well.
best thing I've ever driven.
Yeah, they go
in
like
snow.
stink. They really
Yeah,
do.
the only one I think that can compete with that would be the Audis. Audis run
true.
great in the fucking
Yeah.
snow, and I don't get. But see, like mine's all-wheel drive, but I can't do shit. I'm so low to the ground. I can't.
You hang up.
That's why I got stuck in
yeah.
that blizzard. I wanted creamer. I'm like, I'll be fine.
I wanted creamer.
Yeah. I opened my door and it was just the snow was level with the bottom of the door.
Yeah.
We made it though. We made it.
We made it.
Yeah. What was the first car you ever had?
76 Camaro Berlinetta. Whoa. No, I got screwed so bad with that car. the guy told me, "Oh, it's a good car," and like I'm 18 years old. I've got maybe $900, and this was the car I had to have. And I get it, and the summer starts baking the bodywork finally, and the paint starts spider webbing and falling in and shit. And then the subframes are shot. I'm like, oh my god! But what's funny is at least I did 120 miles an hour on 22 in front of the state police barracks at lunchtime because I was running late for getting to work. But thank God I didn't know that the frame rails were rotted when I was doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the fastest you've ever had a car up to?
135.
What?
Yeah,
Allegedly.
I did that too.
I owned a Porsche, brother.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
did you really have a
Yeah.
Porsche?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I had 944.
Nice, well done.
Yeah.
Nice ride.
I bought it with 11,000 miles.
Did you really?
Yeah, I sold it with 60-some thousand.
Attaboy.
And got
Why'd
the
you
same amount that I paid for it.
Why'd you
Attaboy.
sell it? You just didn't want to do the upkeep anymore?
No. What happened was there was
Too many girls throwing themselves at
Yeah,
you?
it was-
Every one of them.
You were a married
Listen,
man by
I
then?
know that's how it is with my Lincoln too. The windshield wipers, I had to get the bigger ones to put the panties away. It's crazy. It had I fixed the water pump. The water pump went, and it was like $2,500 because they had to lift the whole fucking engine out.
I thought
was
maybe
like,
you had to take a mortgage out
no.
for it. Yeah.
So I did that, and it took the dude like a month and a half to do it, and I was pissed off. And then it was probably 2 months after that, it just started running weird, and I found that it was one of the chips was messed up. So I was like, I'll just call this local place, and I'll just have them order me a chip. And the guy's like, well, listen, it's one of two. So are you sure it's this one? Because we can't return it. And I was like, well, how much is a chip? And he's like, it's $1,000. So I spent $1,000, and I was like,
Wrong
come
chip.
on, Yahtzee. And I was like, and I put it in, and I was like, it works, but it's not right. So then this guy that would come by the house all the time, work at a body shop, and he was like, why don't you drive the Porsche anymore? I said, because it's got this chip thing, and I don't know, I don't fuck with any of that stuff. And he was like, I'll buy it from you. And I was like, cool, I bought it for $5,000.
Oh
And he
my
goes,
God.
and I go, $5,000. And he goes, fuck yeah. And then he go like, I had it for all that time, and it was worth it. So
Absolutely.
but I loved it. It felt like you were fucking driving like a go-kart going
Yeah,
around
yeah.
turns. It just sticks to the fucking road.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was 135, and then the girl was there, and she was just like, "What the fuck was that?" I was like, "That's what it seems like when somebody passes you going 135." Fucking awesome, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
it was so good.
120, 121, and then I got nervous and was like,
Backed off.
I was like, you could die. We could die right
I was
now.
never worried
I
about
did
that.
174.
There you go.
Did you
On
really?
my CBR.
Did
Yes,
you
I
really?
did. Right past the airport road exit.
Okay, I'm impressed. I
Ooh.
won't say anything more.
Yeah, no soul. But
No,
went
I got
fast as fuck.
nervous. I was nervous.
I couldn't do that on a bike.
That was when I
No,
learned.
hell
that
no.
Shit, that shit could have gone faster too.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, they do. Yeah, they do. Wow. That's a fucking rocket. You're sitting on a rocket.
Yeah, suppose
That's
you have
why I
to
don't like it. I'm slow and lazy.
But what if
I
you
don't-
have to sneeze? What do you have to sneeze at 180 miles an hour?
Listen,
Done.
I'm slow. That's why I like Harleys. It's just cruise.
I got the hiccups.
Just cruise. That's all.
I had I leased a Mercedes, and it was like a sport one, and that was the first time I had like a faster car, and it had like Sport Plus in it. And that I don't know. It got to a point where I was just driving like a lunatic all the time, and then I was like, hey, you should probably stop doing this. It was fun.
Yeah, but you have to.
I
Even
love-
my car, I'll put it
yeah.
in sport sometimes,
Yep.
and it's all the gauges turn red, and I was like, that
like
mean,
waving
red
a
means
flag.
fucking red means
Go!
go. Yeah, that means go.
It
and
is,
and then she's like, my wife's like, what are you doing? I said, you got to get the fucking turbos going. You got to air them out a little bit.
You gotta,
You
yeah,
can't-
blow the stink out.
The
Yeah, absolutely.
fuck? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got all this shit on here. I got fucking twin turbos, and the thing you got to fucking push it.
Because I have
Gotta
the
let her eat.
pickup.
Yeah.
Gotta let her eat.
Gotta let her eat.
I have the pickup, and I'll get in the pickup, and then I don't realize how frustrating it is not being able to like get in and out of traffic or pass people if I want to go.
Yeah, when you hit the gas and
especially
it
like
just
when
goes
I want to
blah, blah,
fucking
blah, blah,
go.
blah. Yeah.
Like, and then I'm like, oh man, I do enjoy being able to just
Go.
especially on the
hammer.
highway. Just and just
I know.
I didn't get arrested.
Well, that's why everybody carries the card.
Yeah.
I don't have a card.
No, you have one of my cards.
I do in my wallet. Oh, see, fucking A.
There you go.
I'll
See,
have to get it. I'll have to get it.
we'll have to get you some.
What's been new with you, man?
We have been busier than I've ever been in my life. For real, for real. I've been doing this 30 years, and I have never seen it like this.
Well, what do you think it is?
I don't know. I'm happy. I'm not trying to jinx it, but it's insane, bro. It's insane.
Is it a lot of the same stuff coming across the table, or like how is it on a daily basis for you guys? Is it usually the same stuff, or every now and again you're like, oh, this is different, or like, you know, what kind of is coming across the table?
Well, you know, it's funny. I had a conversation with one of the DAs in Northampton County, and she was complaining about being in the drug unit, and she said, you know, it's just not sexy. I said, you got it wrong. Drug cases are generally like a porno movie. It's all the same shit. It always ends the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only so many ways it can happen. Okay. Now there are outliers. Don't get me wrong. There's weird shit. Okay. There's dark web shit. But other than that, it's all the same. And you know, it's predictable. And so, you know, the drug cases, they're really meat and potatoes. We do a lot of drug work. We do a lot of gun work, that kind of thing. Again, there's only so many ways you can get caught with a gun. Either you had it in your pocket or you had it in your car and you shouldn't have had it there. Okay, well, now we got to do damage control. We got to figure out why they can't prove that you had it. Or can they prove that you had it? And you asked me to talk about we like great stories, right? One gun story. So my favorite stories, and Stacy, she wasn't working for me at the time, but well, she doesn't work for me now. She works with me because I just write the checks. But and listen, I go where they tell me to.
I'm just there for entertainment.
Yeah. Eric, you got to be here in 10 minutes. Go. So this guy, it's like 3 a.m. on one of the steep hill streets in the south side of Bethlehem, and a cop rolls up on this car that the windows are so dark that he can't see in with the light. You know, the prowler light, right? I don't know why he gets out of the car. By himself, he gets out of the car and walks up to this car. There are 4 people in the car. Driver, front passenger, rear passenger behind the driver, and my guy, rear passenger behind the passenger, right? And the cop looks around with his light and takes everybody out the car. And on the floor by my guy's feet is a handgun. It's I think it was a Glock or something like that, but a handgun. And my guy's on state parole, just got out of jail. And my guy gets arrested, and we go to trial because my guy says, "Look, I did not have that gun." So we go through, you know, the kind of the basic stuff, and then I said, "You know, do you have a picture of the gun where it was in the car at the time?" And the cop said, "Yeah, I took a picture of it." And when you look at it, the handle is pointed, kind of like the butt of the gun is pointed at like 7 o'clock. The back of the slide is pointed at like 11 o'clock, and the barrel is pointed at my guy's feet. So I have the cop sit in a chair in front of the jury, and I hand him the gun. I said, "Now, would you pretend that you're the driver of a car and sit this down behind you?" And it lined up exactly with the way the gun was pointed at my guy's body. After the trial, my guy walks up. Not guilty. After the trial, my guy walks up to the cop and thanks him. Because what happened there was my guy had just gotten out of prison, state prison. He was in Allentown, and he ran into some guys, and they said, "Do you want to go to a party over in Bethlehem?" Turns out he was the party. They were going to do him there that night.
Yeah.
And it was only because the cop rolled up and stopped them and arrested him that he was still alive.
That's fucking crazy.
That's a fact, though. That's the fact. And we made everybody a believer based on the way the cop, because you could see the light go on in the cop's head when he set the gun down, and it was exactly the way he found it.
Yeah, because you wouldn't put the gun down
towards
in
yourself.
your seat. You can't. Your arm doesn't go this way.
Right, but that's the thing.
And if because you put your gun down the way you're going to be able to have easy access to it, you're going to grab it, and you wouldn't grab it that way.
Correct.
It doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely correct. But until you look at it, well, he just got released from state prison. He's in the back seat, and there's a gun at his feet. You know, turn the lights out before you leave. That's done, right? But until you look at it, and then once you take a look at it, it's like, oh, crazy.
Well, I love the cases. I had a couple that they were in the glove compartment, and they're like, it's not mine. Like, I'm borrowing the car. And it was just, people have guns in their glove compartment. And they tried nailing this dude, and he was like, I'm not allowed to have a gun. Like, if I knew there was a gun, I wouldn't have fucking drove the car. And they were like, well, you should know. You should check. Oh, yeah, because every time somebody goes, hey, can you run to the store with my car and go grab some, you're going to go through every fucking compartment of the car?
Right. You're going to do a shakedown on the car.
Yeah.
No.
That's weak.
Nope,
That's a weak fucking...
It is.
I was telling you earlier, I think the things I'm seeing is that people are just getting rearrested, and they're finally, like, during the pandemic, they were doing whatever. It was a crazy time. And now they were just letting them go because it's a free and happy world. And now all of a sudden they're getting arrested their second and third time within a couple months. And the county's like, why is there so many people getting arrested? Because you didn't fucking do anything the first time. And you just said, oh, don't worry. Just don't worry about court. We're going to prolong it 6 or 7 fucking times. And now they're like, oh boy, look, they're committing crimes during those 6 or 7 continuations. So when they get by the time they get to me, I'm like, oh, you have 4 county cases. I'm not touching it. Well, why not? Because I know you're not going to show up to a fucking single one of them. That's what's happening.
That's true. All true.
How did they know that? How did he know that the guys were planning on killing him?
He put it together afterwards.
Yeah.
Because he realized that they were friends with somebody that he had a beef with in jail.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Yeah. Do you run into a lot of gang stuff like that where...
There are no gangs in the Lehigh Valley. No,
I'm going to turn the camera off your face there.
So the sarcasm doesn't come through.
Yeah.
So no, the reality is there's a lot of gangs in Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, but they're not the same as they were when we, like, in the 80s and 90s when the whole, colors and all that stuff came out, right?
Warriors.
The Warriors come out to play.
That's the gang stuff I like.
But the thing is, it used to be if you wore red in a blue neighborhood, you got shot, and you had to be careful what you wore, and you couldn't wear black, and you couldn't. But now, like, they like hang out together, and I can't get my head around that. You have a party, and the Bloods and the Crips are there together. It's like, it doesn't make sense to me. But I was never a member, not even a social member. But, there's a lot of it out there. A lot of it out there.
I wonder, that is, you're right, though, because it used to be like there was a very big divide.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, the Latin Kings even, and there was, like, for a time, it was really crazy with all that stuff. It would be constantly on TV.
Oh, it still is.
I think too is, it's sharing. I think back then it was... everyone's selling, say, one thing, and the other group sell the same thing. So it was, you were allowed to sell in this area, and we sell in this area. Now, one set of groups sells this kind of drug, this one sells this kind of drug, and I think there's a lot of meshing together.
I think there's some of that, but I think the other thing is, I think it's the same thing we see in society, right? The kids that are joining gangs are, they're kids that, if they had other opportunities or whatever, maybe they wouldn't have gone that way. I don't know.
They have tight fucking pants, dude.
But tight.
Yeah, but they're
tight.
A
different kind of fucking kids.
They're tight, but they're droopy. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, I don't quite get it. No, but hear me out. So what I'm saying is, you're seeing the end of the fraternities in college.
Yep.
You're seeing the end, and you're seeing that whole sense of group identity is going away.
Yeah.
So you're getting more of an individual identity, and it's going to break down. It's going to be the death sentence of all these groups, because everybody's a precious snowflake, right? Everybody's got to have their own identity and get their own participation trophy.
Yes.
And because of that, you don't have the cohesiveness that you have in the gangs.
Yeah.
That whole sense of belonging in gang.
Yeah, the whole fraternal thing was like, it's like, I die for my brothers, I do this for my brothers. Now it's like, gone. I'm not doing shit. If I get arrested, I'm ratting all you fuckers out.
That's what I'm saying. But that's the end of it, right?
Yeah.
That's where it ends.
Which isn't a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. But the problem is that when it's that group, then you can identify the group and you can deal with the group.
And you can zone in on.
But now you have a bunch of 17-year-old kids with black hair and black nails and trench coats, and they're the ones you got to be afraid of.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of people mixed up with the wrong crowd? Like how that guy with
They're all
gun?
the wrong crowd, right?
Yeah.
We're the wrong crowd.
That's not true. I only bail innocent people.
Like, I don't know. Like,
now we're all guilty of something.
Sometimes when I see like the Netflix stuff or something where there's somebody who like is completely innocent and they're just in a car full of like, people they shouldn't be around with, and then you got to now prove.
Oh, it does happen.
Yeah.
Sure, it happens. Of course, it happens. But that's the outlier, really. I mean, you don't have that a whole lot.
I heard that on one case in that judge we talked about prior.
Yep.
Was talking to this young lady and like, how could you hang out with these scum? You're such a night, and her family was great and everything. She just loved the life, loved the idea. It was like watching a movie.
The moth to the flame, right? Because we celebrate the movies, celebrate the
violence.
Gotta
have bad boys. You got to be with the bad boys. That's what it is.
Yep. Yep, but that all wears out eventually.
Yeah, when you go to jail.
Yeah, that's kind of a game changer, isn't it?
You're like, shit.
Oh, I didn't know. That wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah.
That's usually when the credits roll. You know?
Yeah, well, I don't see that in the music video they were playing.
I don't know. Every now and again, I get spooked out, and I'm just like, that would really suck to have to go to prison.
Oh,
It's
it's a bad
boring.
thing.
For like a long time.
I can tell you for somebody who was quarantined for a week in his room and not
Yeah.
being sick, yeah, that shit sucks.
Yeah.
I would just sit there like, this is boring. And I had an iPad. Now imagine me having nothing and just going, well, this sucks.
But you know what? The thing is, when you don't have anything, I mean, when you are young and all your friends are in jail, putting you in jail,
Yeah, it's a cool fucking
It's not a
time.
big deal, right?
Yeah. I used to go to, in school, I would lie and say that I had it just to go there because my friends were there.
Badass, man. Badass.
Yeah.
Holy smokes!
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy smokes! Crazy, crazy, crazy. But you know what's funny is when you see people age out of it, when you see people age out of the gangs, and you see people age out of drug addiction, you see people age out of crime. Now, some people never do, but when you see people age out of it, it's always the same. Man, I'm getting old. I'm getting too old for this stuff. And what's really funny is when you have these guys, and you know who I'm talking about here too.
I do.
This guy was a straight up gangster. I mean, the real
State
deal.
prison for a long
federal
time.
prison, state prison, and
Buddies with Joel.
and a monster. I mean, a huge human being. And his daughter got in a fight, and he's fantastic. I love him to death.
him.
His daughter got in a fight at the mall, and she called him and told him what happened. And he goes, Eric, you know, all of a sudden I found myself sitting in the front seat of my car, pulling a hoodie down. And I said to myself, oh no, you don't. I'm not doing this again.
Yeah.
But, you know, he was getting ready to go back and do the old things, right? So he didn't, and he did it the right way. And, but then he got a DUI. And honest to God, it's like the dude grew his virginity back. He gets the DUI. They let me go. Why'd they let me go? Are they coming to my house with a warrant? I said, no, bro, it's a DUI. Are you sure? Yes, I'm pretty sure. They're not coming back with a warrant. You're going to be are you sure, though? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Or the guys who've been state prison and everything else, and they got a driving under suspension. Bro, what do I do? What do you do? Yeah, what do I do? I don't know. I can't have this driving under suspension. I got to get my daughter to practice.
Yeah.
Now you're getting it.
That usually what happens when they get older and they have kids and they're like,
It's a game changer,
And they're
right?
like, hey, if I go to jail and I'm there for a year,
Yep.
I'm missing a whole bunch of my kid's life.
Yep. And once you realize that jail takes away the thing that you can't ever get back,
Yep.
it changes.
Yeah. Yep.
Because the time is the only thing you can't get back. The money, everything, you can get all of that back. The time you can't.
But it still cracks me up when I go to the jail and you just see, not so much because there's no visitations right now, but when there was, just girls hanging out and just bragging about how much time their guys got.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you the dumbest motherfuckers I've ever... Yo, my man's in there. He's doing this. He's doing that. And I was like, cool, I'm going to go home and do whatever the fuck I want. Your man is going to worry about getting ass raped because I know who he's in the cell with. That's not cool. That's good. It's like, hey, look how much he got all this time, or I did this time, I did this. I'm like, I don't really care. That doesn't mean shit to me.
It's got to be an awful feeling when they, hand over the guilty verdict to just be
yeah.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of people break in that moment.
Yeah. The thing is, you got to prep people, and I think we do a good job of it. But you got to prep people for the fact is, gambling isn't called winning for a reason.
Yeah.
You don't go to the casino to win money. You go to the casino to gamble, and the house always wins. And if you stay at the table long enough, you're giving it back.
Yeah.
The same thing is true of the courthouse. You go back enough times, it's going to play out. And the house always wins because the odds are in their favor. So, that moment when the jury comes back, that's a sick feeling, bro. That is a sick feeling. But you got to prep people for it. You got to understand when you're going into it, this is what can happen. There's no guarantee that you're going to win.
No.
And you got to be prepared for that.
But I don't like what I've been doing lately, and it kind of pisses me off. But we have clients that we bail out, and then they'll come to us, and they're scared shitless. And I was like, well, what are you afraid of? It's your first arrest. Well, I have a misdemeanor. They told me I can do a year in jail. And I go,
people lie to them.
yeah. And I go, they got to stop fucking doing that. Because now I got a guy who's going to probably fucking run because they're thinking he's doing a year in jail. And I'm like, you've never been arrested before, right?
Right. And
Stop it.
But it's a sales gimmick. And we hear that all the time too.
Yeah.
People, there are attorneys out there who will give people the gloom and doom, and I can help you if you pay me X number of dollars.
Yeah.
That's some fucking cold shit.
Yeah, that's
right there.
evil shit.
It is.
That's evil shit. Like, hey, man, I can help you, but like, I'm going to need X amount of dollars. But I mean, if you do this, I can really get some shit moving. And they're like, dude, that's why I always tell people, I'm like, don't go to those people.
No, you can't, because it's a sales tactic.
Yeah.
It's, you rev them up and put a brick on the accelerator, right? And all of a sudden, I can help you, I can save you. Just as long as your check clears. Oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
You know the guys I'm talking about. Yeah.
Michael Fauerbach.
How dare you?
No, we weren't talking about him.
Or I'm sure you're just kind of used to it now, but when you first started doing this, was there a rush for you when they would come back? And because you don't know if it's guilty or not guilty.
I can tell you, ever since I started practicing, ever since I started doing trial work, when the moment, whether I was a prosecutor or as a defense attorney, the moment that the jury comes back and they get ready to read the verdict, my heart is in my throat every time. Still,
yeah.
30 years later,
because you don't know.
You don't know, and I can tell you there is no greater feeling in the world than a not guilty verdict, none whatsoever. And I had two guys that were charged with aggravated assault on cops. They were bouncers at a club, and the jury came back not guilty across the board on these two guys. And that was another one of those, you talk about those aha moments. We were able to slow down the video and prove that they got the wrong guys. And you could hear the cops in the back room or the back row go, "Holy shit, we got the wrong guys."
Ugh.
And to see those guys then walk out, there was nothing anybody could do. You can't revoke their bail. You can't do anything to them. They are free, and you've got no control over them. That was amazing. Then I had another guy who was he was invited to. Well, he wasn't invited. He and his friend crashed a party, and he got in a fight, and he was the only black guy at the party. And the kids, the guys that were there, started yelling, "Kill that N!" Right? And he fought with three guys, and he had a pocket knife on him, and he stabbed three guys, and they charged him. And we went through a trial with him and everything else. And at the end of the trial, the jury found him not guilty of everything. Amazing. Rush.
It's all self-defense.
Yeah, it was a self-defense. Yeah. But what was crazy about that case, and it's one of my favorite cases of all time, because my opening statement was standing up and looking at the jury and yelling, "Kill that N."
I know. Listen, people don't understand, but when you go to those things and you hear, that's my favorite time we can't now, but when I go into trials, and you'd sit there and go, and the DA would go, and he said, "You stupid motherfucking bitch," and it's like these geeky guys reading this shit, and they're trying to sound like slang,
like tough guys,
and you're like, "Oh my god, this is so hilarious." Well, I hope he says it again.
That was always one of our jokes, because when we were using undercover guys, you have to have the right undercover guy, because if you had the wrong undercover guy, "Excuse me, sir, I would like to purchase a quantity of crack cocaine from you that is consistent with personal use. Do you have such a thing? I have $20. Yeah, come on. But this one, before the trial, I said, "Is it okay with you if I say this? Because I can't bring myself to say this in front of you." And he said, "No, it's fine, do it." So I stood up and yelled that to the jury. And I said, "Saying that makes me want to spit to clear the taste out of my mouth." But when he heard it, he wet his pants, because he knew what was coming. And that was the end of it. It was the game changer for the whole case. But you have to call it what it is. You have to. But if you try and, "We'd like to thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, for your time and attention," that's blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Nah.
No.
How horrible would it be to have the wrong lawyer in those situations? Like, if that guy wasn't represented correctly, he definitely could have been fucking charged. And, especially the two the bouncers, like, you're up against the police. Like, how hard is that to fucking prove?
Well, I mean, you do it. It happens.
Yeah. Was that a long case?
It was a couple days, sure.
Yeah.
But the thing is, not every lawyer is the right lawyer for the case. I mean, there are cases that I won't take because I'm not the guy for that.
How long did it take you in your career to start realizing, like, okay, that's not correct? I mean, in the beginning, did you kind of take everything, and then over the years just kind of start realizing what makes more sense for your skill set?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, the thing is, having done a lot of drug work, having done a lot of gang work, having done a lot of violent crime work, it's kind of what comes to you, right? But if people come in and they're accused of child molestation or they're accused of child pornography, go. I won't do it. Go. Just leave. Because I'm not the right guy for that. I can't get behind that. I can't argue for you. I can't do it. I don't feel right about that. I've had a handful of those cases, and when I had the ones I've had, I had them evaluated either by a polygraph before I would take it. I'd have my own polygraph done, or I'd have them interviewed by a psychologist to make sure that I was comfortable doing it. Because for me, I got to believe it. I got to believe in what I'm doing in order to do it. Because otherwise, you're just going through the motions. And when you go through the motions, shit, it doesn't work. You can't. It doesn't work.
Yeah, because it'll show.
Yeah, it absolutely shows.
It'll show in the way you speak and your mannerism.
Yep.
It'll show.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, you get known for doing certain kind of work, and there's stuff you turn away. I won't do those kind of assaults on kids. No. I'm not going to put some 10-year-old on the witness stand. If you want that, go somewhere else. People who abuse animals, I won't do that either. It doesn't work.
What was the hardest one that you had to get through that you took?
As crazy as it sounds, it was like a 5th offense DUI. And every morning before court, the guy was sleeping on the sofa in my office. And then at lunch, he would sleep on the sofa in my office. And I was scared to death that the jury was going to walk him and I'd be responsible for him killing somebody. That was terrifying.
That's crazy.
And the
5th offense.
Yeah.
Get it together.
No, some people they don't. They
can't, man. They just can't.
No, I run it all the time. The people I bail a couple times, usually it's Monroe County, is they're workers. They get up in the morning, they drink, they go to work.
Yep.
They got to work, they drink, and they just keep getting pulled over.
Yep.
And they're like, well, I'm not hurting anybody. Yeah, but you can.
You could.
Like, it's pretty fucking easy that, one day you might have a bad day, you might drink a little bit more. But they don't care. I got to get to work. Well, that's not really what you're doing.
That's not really the
What
defense.
are you looking at for a 5th offense? Because isn't it 3 now? You do time?
It's 1 and you do time. If you have a kid in the car, you're doing time.
Damn.
If you have, you're not getting ARD and you're getting time. If you have, say you get to your second and you're in the highest tier, it used to be 0.10 and below and 0.10 and below a 0.10 you walked. Above a 0.10 you got 2 days in jail.
It was what greatest or what?
No. And then what happened in 2004? It became this 3-tiered approach where you have general impairment, which is a 0.08 to a 0.09999. Then you have a middle tier, which is a 0.10 to a 0.159,
which is high rate, and then highest.
And then highest is 0.16 or higher, or drugs. And if you get a middle level and you don't have ARD, you're doing 2 days, and then there's fines and suspensions and stuff. And then if you get a highest tier, then you have 3 days and you get fines and stuff. But you get into a second offense. If you have a highest tier second offense, your maximum is 5 years in jail. So if you play that thing wrong, you could do 2.5 to 5 upstate on a second offense. Now you get to third, now you're talking very, very close to getting a year or more, and you get into fourth, write it off. It's done.
Yeah.
Could you imagine getting in that much?
I won't bail people out
driving?
like that. If I look and it's like your 3rd or 4th DUI, are you prepared to go to prison?
Because that's happening.
They're like, no. I'm telling you, you're going to go to jail.
I mean, there are all kinds of different intricacies with it. Because there's a 10-year look back period. So if say you had 3 DUIs in 2000,
they drop off.
They drop off after 10 years. Or if you had a prior ARD, it used to be that if you had a prior ARD and you got another one, this other one was now a second. That changed. Now the prior ARD doesn't count anymore, and the second becomes the first. But there are all kinds of ways to try and manipulate it, but that's why you need a lawyer for DUI, for real. People say, "Oh, I could do it on my own."
No.
Yeah, okay.
No, I'm serious. I turn away a lot of people that'll come in and it's like, "Hey, this is your 3rd or 4th DUI. Like, you don't need a bail bondsman, you need an attorney." Because if you get out, you're still going to go to jail. I would want to have someone worry about my future, about how long I'm going to be in jail, than how I'm going to be out for 1 month to see whatever. Like, that doesn't mean shit. And that's what I'll push them away. It's not worth it. You don't have enough money for both.
Yep.
If you do, shit, all the money goes around. We can all share. But if it's that, don't even call me. Just go.
Yeah.
Or drug cases that are just so far out of my reach. Like, you don't need me. You don't need me. Yeah.
Where do you turn them to when you
attorneys?
Deny them?
Them.
Yeah, if they come in, it's like, what's your bail? $500,000. And you look and it's drug and it's Title 42 and all that. I'm like, there you go. Don't even talk to me because that's out of my fucking wheelhouse.
That's nuts.
Which is crazy because then if I have to get it approved for Title 42, it's literally I'm on trial.
Yeah.
But when it's the county, They just don't worry about it. Somebody walked in last week with $20,000 cash, allegedly, but they Title 42. Don't worry about it. No problem. Just you have 20,000. Oh, we'll take your 20,000.
Why? Because they were on
10%.
Oh, okay.
Yep. No, it's good. You got the money. You're good.
I can't believe such a thing would happen.
No, and I go. It's almost like they're planning on the person not showing up, so they have free $20,000.
Cha-ching.
Yeah.
It happens.
But when it's my money and my bond put against it, they don't get any of that. So they're like, we have to,
That sounds like sour grapes, Jesse.
Yeah.
What time do you have to be at that party?
10:30.
Okay. It's like 9:15.
Yeah, I'm all right.
All right.
Ooh, I got to set I don't want to get nailed with parking.
Oh, yeah, you're 15 minutes late. You're probably right.
Oh, my God.
They're towing your shit already. I can hear the backup.
What? Okay, it's working. It's working, guys. It's working. Okay, there we go.
I don't even have that app on there.
I had it, and then I switched cars, and then I got a ticket because I didn't. So I don't know. I'm constantly getting tickets. I can't stand it. Can't stand it.
Well, you have the lot.
You know who I was? I was on the phone with Zach, and I went out front, and JM was coming by, and he just goes, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I gotta pay $400 in fines for fucking tickets."
We had when I first started practicing, I inherited an office manager from another attorney, and they had so many parking tickets that they would just bring everybody from the office in and line them up and take them in for warrants.
Yeah.
Parking.
Isn't it crazy that people think sometimes that like it doesn't matter if they don't pay a
Well, no,
parking
people don't
ticket?
understand too. Is like even like
Sarah got arrested outside the shop
Yeah.
a few months ago.
Go, Sarah.
But no, like when I lived in New York City, I used to talk and I'd see all these delivery guys, and you always see them just double parking everywhere. And one day I was like, "How the fuck do you guys not get tickets?" And he goes, "Oh no, we do, but we have a legal team that we take all of our tickets, and it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then they go in and say, how much will you take?" And they just whittle it down. So that's why Coca-Cola and everything, the prices go up every year because they're paying off all these excess tickets.
It's the cost of doing business.
Yeah, they just plan on them getting tickets and saying,
Sure.
"Screw it, just take them, throw them in a drawer, and we'll battle it in court."
The lady who worked here doing the tickets before the pandemic.
She was mean.
She was.
I mean, it was in the paper that there was that many tickets going on in Nazareth, and then it was just hammered everybody with tickets. It's actually why I bought a parking spot.
Yeah.
Like it'd be like I'd go to get change and come back and be like, "I'm putting change in the meter." Now the older guy's nice, but then people were mad that he was nice to people.
Yeah, he would come in and warn us.
Yeah. Which is,
I
you're
was
a
like,
business
don't-
owner.
Yeah, don't lose your job over it. Dude.
Yeah.
Just give us the ticket.
But he used to do that where he'd be like, "Hey man, is this you?" Because he would just know, I see him in town all the time. He'd be like, "Hey, you need a quarter," and then people were like, "He shouldn't be telling people
Come
to put."
on.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
and then
fine.
so now he doesn't. Now he's like kind of like not a dick, but you can tell like he's just kind of like got yelled at. So now he
No,
can't.
I caught.
It was nice having a nice guy.
I caught two parking people in Allentown peeking around on the other side of the jail, and I'm
Peaky
walking down the
potties.
hill, and I see them peeking, and they're looking at their watches and looking, and I was just like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And I was like, "Are you waiting for the fucking meter, like to go so you can run up and give them a fucking ticket?" I was like, "Fuck you." So they're like, "Well, you can't put money," and that isn't that a crock of shit.
You can't.
I
What do
can't
you mean
put
you
ma-
can't put money in the.
You're not allowed to put money in
Oh,
other people's
come
meters.
on.
No, they did
I
that
swear
with.
to God.
It was a Jackass episode.
Yeah,
where
he got fined and all this
Steve-O
shit.
or somebody dressed
He was
up
called.
as
He was
a
called
fairy.
the meter fairy.
The meter fairy.
He would go around and go whoop, and then put money in. Yeah, you get fined.
You can get in
How
trouble
fucked
for
is
doing
that?
I would take that case for free.
Yeah.
I would absolutely take that case
Yeah,
for free.
but I sat there. I was like, "Fuck you! I'll line this whole fucking street. I'll pay for everybody." But
Yeah.
that's how shitty they are. They're just like,
Like the lady used to, and I didn't know they did this where they chalk your tire.
they do that in certain
And then-
areas.
Yeah, and then if you don't move, and I could
Oh,
see that.
I yelled at a guy.
But
in
I could see
fucking
that doing
Jersey.
that in like a busy major city or something where like somebody would park somewhere for too long. But it's like the 15-minute parking out here.
Yeah.
No one's hanging out there all day. It's just this
Well-
dumb, stupid town. And she's like,
Dude, I got
like, what are you
into
doing?
a fucking argument with a guy in Hunterdon County when I used to do bail in Jersey, and I was right outside the courthouse, and I was waiting because
"Did you raise your
drove.
dukes to him?"
No, I fucking jumped out. No, I jumped out and started screaming because I was waiting for a guy. I drove to court, and he comes up on my car and just goes boom. And I get out. I go, "What the fuck you touching my car for?" And the guy goes, "Well, I'm marking your tire." I go, "Give me the chalk. Let me mark your fucking face."
Whoa.
And he goes,
Whoa.
"Whoa." And I exactly, whoa.
Yeah.
And I go, "It's my property. You can't touch my car. You can mark the sidewalk, but you're touching my car." And he goes, "I'm allowed." I go, "You're not allowed to do shit." I said, "I'm going to fucking follow you around, just start fucking marking you all day." And he just goes, are we going to have a problem here? And I go, no, I only have 5 more minutes. Go, court's over.
No, I'm good.
Listen, I'm only mad for a couple minutes, and it just goes away.
Yeah. That's funny. It's same kind of. There's a guy I knew used to be a sheriff's deputy in Northampton County, and the man was a walking eclipse. I mean, he was enormous, like blocked the sun that big, right? And there was a guy that was running his mouth and running his mouth and running his mouth, and you're not tough and everything. Now this guy tried out for I think it was for either the Eagles or the Giants on the front line. He was a walk-on. I mean, so the guy said, "We're gonna, he just keeps bumping gums." And at the end of the day, this guy takes him out to the loading dock and parks his car there. He was supposed to transport him back to whatever prison. He parks his car by the loading dock and takes the guy out. Says, "Get out." What do you mean? Get out. He puts him up against the car and he uncuffs him and said, "Okay, let's do this. I'm tired of it. Let's do it." The guy said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You were going to do something. Now do it." The guy said, "I'm okay. I'm okay. We can leave now."
What is that called? Because I don't. It's like specific states where if the cops are having arguments, like they could just fight.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I don't know. I want to go there, though.
Yeah, I've seen it on YouTube in a couple times where I forget, it's down south somewhere, but it's called like if the two people like mutually are like, hey, all right, we're gonna fight now.
Well, here's the thing: in Pennsylvania, there's a simple assault is a misdemeanor too, but there's a lesser grade of simple assault called simple assault by mutual combat, which is a misdemeanor 3. But the reality is, okay, two guys decide to get in a fight. What normally happens is the guy with the biggest mouth who causes the problem usually gets beat up, and then he goes crying to the police, and then the other guy gets charged, right? Yep. But if nobody talks to the police and they both get charged with simple assault M3 and neither one will testify, there's no case.
Yeah, just court cost fees.
Well, not even that. There's no case. It gets dropped. That's the end of it. So what I think is hysterical is when the cops charge both sides, and they say, well, we're ready for court, and both people are here. Neither one's testifying. They both rely on their Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Nobody's saying anything. Well, what do you mean? Well, what I mean is you charged him and you charged him. They both are now defendants. Neither one has to say anything. Yeah. And they're both keeping their mouths shut. They have the right to do that. Okay.
But see, what happened back in the day, it would be like two brothers would just get in an argument, go in the backyard, and kick the shit out of each other.
Uh-huh. And everything was okay.
Now the neighbor calls the cops.
It's still okay, though. If nobody testifies, it's still okay, right? But usually it's the guy that loses that cries, right?
Yep, or the first person to get to the phone.
Yep, the first person to get to the phone, right?
You ever fight your brother?
No.
Like full-on fought?
Nope.
Wrestle? You guys wrestled?
Yeah, we did that all
Did
the
you
time.
ever beat him?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I mean, did nothing like competition-wise. It just got to a point, I was trying to explain to my daughter, I was like, listen, growing up, like, it wasn't my brother necessarily, it was like his friends would just mess with me.
Yeah.
And then once you get to it, all of a sudden, you grow up, and then you're like, oh, he's bigger than all of us. Then they just don't do that anymore. And then you're like, you don't really have to do anything. They just stop.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah, then they just stop.
Roger's the closest I ever came to punching one of my brothers in the face.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, that was we lived. We shared a room, and it was a slob, and I just was over his shit being everywhere. So I put it all in a box and I put it in the basement. And he came home and was like, "Where's all my stuff?" And we started fighting, and I had him down, and I had my fist up, and I couldn't do it. Never fought any. I don't know. Have you ever got into a fist fight in public?
No. No. Not at all.
No. I never did
Cameras
either.
off me. No.
I don't know. You get into fights growing up?
No, never.
Yeah.
Cameras off. So.
Never. I never did.
I don't know. I was never the type of person to get into bar fights and stuff.
Oh, no.
I was usually
I
hugging
never,
strangers and stealing people's
No,
cigarettes.
I never really got it. I mean, I was in between a lot of people going to bars because I had a lot of stupid friends that would
I always stopped fights.
Me too.
I definitely, especially with a couple of my friends where, and then later on in life they thanked me because like I have a friend who would, he'd fuck some people up. So then we'd go out and, he wouldn't get into fights unless, if someone was like, you want to fucking go, he'd already hit you. The person who actually fights, not the person who's always just going, raw. So then there would be people that would get into situations and then they would kind of back out of it and then let him clean it all up. But, and then later on, he's like, thanks, man. He's like, you're the only one like that would ever break the fights up. And I'm like, yeah, you never felt good about yourself the next day.
No, it's always bad. It's always bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the end, what do you really win?
Nothing.
He's
Nothing.
like, I mean, it was a lot less connected back then with, social media wasn't really a thing. But, there was times where he was like, I don't know if that kid was okay.
That's what I'm saying. Come on, really. It's not worth it. It's just
No.
I mean,
it was
it's
nothing
not,
I ever
it's not like
getting involved
It's not
in.
like back in the day Townhouse when a certain family, the Snyders, would get into fights all the time, and then they would run out the side doors and jump into people's trucks as the cops were pulling up. Never saw
Believe
that
me,
happen.
I loved watching a good bar fight.
And they would fight each other.
Yeah.
They would fight
Nothing
each
like a
other, and the
good
best
fight.
is
Yeah.
two of them were fighting each other. And they got so mad, and one goes, "Yeah, well, your mom's a whore." And he goes, "It's your mom too, you fucking idiot."
That's
He goes,
hysterical.
damn it! And then they stopped fighting.
Do you remember, Stace, when we were outside, I think, smoking butts in front of the shop, or you might have even been tattooing me, and those two drunk guys came from either the American or the Legion, and they were fighting in the alley right across the street. But they were both so wasted, they were like, ugh, like it was just super slow-mo.
Very bad. Not a good fight.
I was like, what's going on? You're like, who cares?
Let's watch it. It's good.
Yeah.
When I was in law school, I lived above a bar that it opened at 7 a.m. It closed at 2 a.m.
Oof.
And you'd take a break from studying and watch the fights across the street. And one night I was watching this guy, a little big biker guy with a full black bushy hair, a beard, the whole 9 yards. And he's chasing this little guy who was dressed in like a button-down shirt around a car. And the little guy, he had plenty of energy left in him. The big guy's, so finally I see the big guy say to the little guy, "Well, come on, let's shake on it, And I'm watching it play out. And I'm thinking to myself, it's like the Halloween movies. Don't do it. Don't.
Yeah, but you have to watch. You're like, just
gotta watch
don't
it.
do it. Do it.
But the bear had big paws, right? So he shook his hand, and with the other hand, the guy just started boom, boom. I was like, bro, you didn't see that coming. Come on.
I would have ran.
Remember when you used to live above the Cherry Hill and we would
Yeah.
just wait for closing time and just watch all the fights?
Watch the fight.
Yeah, that was nuts.
That was good.
Nuts. I would hang out on the. I quit drinking and was there, and it was just. It was
You
sometimes.
were miserable.
It was sometimes. It was really hard to deal with. So I'd sit up on the roof because I could go out my living room window onto like a side roof, but then I could get onto like a roof, and you really couldn't see that high up on the building. And I would hang out up there, and it was just fist fights constantly.
I lived behind Al's front porch growing up.
Shout out to
And
Al.
I'd watch him stumble down the stairs.
That was a good party.
And then the best is, it's like they get in. The one guy I still remember, and I'm good friends with him, but he just stumbles out, and it was late, and I was just like, "You shouldn't drive home." And he's like, "Who is this, God?" And I go, "Yeah, it's God. Don't fucking drive home."
Yeah.
And he gets on his motorcycle and just brrr, in a big circle, and it's just going. And they didn't have pavement; it was just stone. So big circle, brrr, 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 and then just won't fall over. And I'm like, "Well, there you go. There's your answer. You fucking idiot."
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
living at a bar is fucking crazy. You see some crazy
It's a
shit.
different world, but that's why I can't. I don't like hanging out in bars because I've been around them my whole life. I just know the bullshit, and it's
Yeah.
the same depressing,
It's always the same, right? Yep.
depressing bullshit.
When I worked at Cherry Hill, or even just worked at any bars, the amount of people that drive like super fucking plowed is insane.
Yeah,
It sure is. And that's why the DUI law, it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah. And I noticed the cops are in town way more now since the Dublin Irish opened. Like because that's how. Because I kept seeing them in town, and I was like, why is that guy at the park? Then why is there another one right at the gas station? And then I was like, fuck, this is like how it was when Cherry Hill opened. Like they're just set up there waiting.
because you got to be a certain distance away. I don't know what the.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I don't know the total distance. I know there used to be one that would sit outside the townhouse that possibly we knew, and he'd walk by and he'd just go home, you fucking idiot, over the from the car, and I'm like, oh, thank God it's you. All right.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's start wrapping up. I don't want to hold you because of the party, and I'm sure you have stuff going on. And
But this is the best part of the beginning of my day.
I
Absolutely.
know. I was excited. I want to do it again next month. I
Absolutely.
got up and made coffee and breakfast and stuff. It's a cool way to, because we usually have to do these at night or in the middle of the day. I'll have to do them, but I don't mind the morning Saturday ones.
This is great. It really is. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna give you a chance to plug anywhere anybody can get a hold of you if they need a lawyer or just kind of like what you got going on.
Yeah, we do criminal defense work. But if somebody has something else they need, I'm happy to point them in the right direction. It's Eric Dowdle. My phone number is 610-882-3000. And it's 50% of the time you will get the lovely and talented Stacey Donadio on the phone. 50% the other 50%. That was a good deuces, though. 50% of the time you'll get B. Loca on the phone. That's Brenda. She's our Mexican ninja, and she's quite something.
Stace, do you have anything you want to plug? That tattoo shop right down the road. Sacred Art. All right. Jesse, did you want to end with a quote or something?
No.
No.
I thought you had
have some
McConaughey
quotes.
stuff, man.
Oh, yeah, I know, but I was going to have you do it. Nobody wants to hear me say it.
Oh, I thought you were going to, like, play McConaughey quotes.
No!
You have a Lincoln. You should be the one saying
well, he's the
this
Lincoln
stuff.
Bail agent,
Well,
absolutely.
I got him, dude. What the fuck? By the way, I love that Lincoln Lawyer movie.
It's a good movie. Well, that's what we do now. We're on the road.
I love it. Yeah.
I work out of the car now.
Nomads.
Nomads, legal nomads.
There you go. Here's a good quote for him. Hold on. Oh, you know what? I put it in the podcast folder. See, look, I actually did prepare, just not for
Oh, that's
this
quite
show.
something.
I thought you had
I'm
ones
impressed.
you could play.
Mike, aren't you impressed?
No, not audio. I can't record. I'm not going to say a bunch of audio on here.
No, I would have been impressed if he had this prepared.
Yeah, but he's halfway there. See, I do defense work. Give him credit. He's halfway there.
Well, no, he said last
Yesterday
show.
I said I got a whole bunch of McConaughey quotes.
Yeah, I thought because he'll hook the phone up to the board and then he usually plays stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what I did with them. It's a bad idea. Don't turn the camera off myself.
All right, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming on. We'll set this up for next month.
Most definitely.
If you're a first-time listener, first-time watcher, go to neveragainstudio.com. That has everything you need. We have apparel there. If you need web work, anything at all you need is on neveragainstudio.com. Subscribe to the YouTube, and thank you for listening / watching.
Oh, I found one.
Hit it.
Make it happen.
Hit it.
Here you go.
Go to you, not me. This is your big closer,
This is McConaughey.
man.
Yeah. Life's not fair. It never was. It isn't now and it won't ever be. Do not fall into the trap, the entitlement trap of feeling like you're a victim. You are not. Get over it and get on with it. And yes, most things are more rewarding when you break a sweat to get them.
Facts.
There it is.
Fucking A.
Rest in power.
Goddamn.
Rest in power, DMX.
I'm going to hold my...